50 years ago, in the summer of 1969, three men, Armstrong, Aldridge, and Collins, completed a successful mission to the moon, the first ever. About 200 million Americans saw the first man walk on the moon on television. And when the astronauts returned from the moon, America responded to this feat by holding a caravan across the country. And there were three major stops. New York, at a giant parade, the mayor declared, "All that New York has given you today, its cheers, its praises, its medals, its glories, dwarfs, in comparison to what you three men have done." In Chicago, 2 million people took part of a parade as the three heroes rode on an open limousine, and the city had 18 bales of confetti, 500 pigeons, and 5,000 balloons, and a big fireworks show. And then it concluded in Los Angeles, where it was believed the largest presidential dinner in history had ever been held, with 90 foreign diplomats and 1,400 Americans taking part. A fabulous accomplishment and an equally fabulous response. And what has Christ accomplished? Christ didn't walk on the moon. Christ walked through the gates of heaven, but he didn't just walk through and then return to tell us about it. Now, the gates of heaven are open for us. We can actually see heaven and experience it for ourselves. And the gospel today explains how this King of the Jews died so people of goodwill who put their faith in him, like the criminal, could go to heaven. And for this accomplishment, how does America respond? How does the world respond? How do you and I respond? Certainly on this feast of Christ the King, we'll have fireworks, Catholic style. We'll have a little incense, maybe even a lot of it. But certainly we know that the Christ kingdom is about human hearts. And Jesus' earthly mission is seen in his revelation of the merciful love of the Father. Everything he does and says reveals the merciful love of the Father. And so how do we respond to the one who gave his heart to us? Well, we are to give our hearts to him. And how do we do this? By living the gospel. And the gospel is fairly simple: to love God above all things and to love our neighbor as ourselves, which lets us know that we must have concern for each other, the stranger, the immigrant, the poor, and the hurting. Our hearts have to be concerned about human needs, including food, shelter, literacy, health care, and a variety of other things. I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but it is not enough to give our hearts to God, because our hearts only fully belong to God if we give our hearts to others, thereby revealing the merciful love of God to others. So here are a couple practical challenges. Whenever we feel like we're choosing to pull our hearts back to protect ourselves, we really need to stop and think, because we are called to give our hearts freely and fully to others. That's what this kingdom is all about. There are some who are going to be excited today to know that the angel tree is now available and red kettles for the Salvation Army are everywhere, because it can make a difference to help people for Christmas. And others are thinking, geez, more money? I mean, Black Friday is coming up. This is like the worst time to try to hit me up for money. We will be tempted, perhaps, to pull our hearts back when we are actually encouraged to give. Some of us have real stinkers in our families, and we're going to see them on Thanksgiving Day. And we're going to be tempted to pull ourselves back, not get so engaged, and just go into survival mode. And we need to stop, because we are called to give our hearts fully and freely, knowing that they've already hurt us, and they will probably say something rude again, but we are called to show the merciful love of the Father. We have opportunities throughout our lives to do this, and there are times when we just don't want to suffer. But Christ chose to continue to give while he was suffering. Even when he was being crucified and mocked, he still offered his heart. And it made a difference to one right then and there, called the good thief, who entered paradise that very day. A fabulous accomplishment deserves an equally fabulous response. Let us give our hearts to others for the sake of the one whose heart was pierced for love of us.